Listen to me. Fear is the most powerful prison that was never built with bricks. It doesn't have walls, it doesn't have bars, but it has kept more people locked up than any jail ever could. It hides inside your mind, whispering lies, convincing you that you're not ready, that you're not enough, that you're not worthy. And most people, they believe it. They stop chasing their dreams, not because they're incapable, but because they let fear talk them out of trying. You see, fear has destroyed more dreams than failure ever has. Failure is just a lesson, but fear is a thief. It steals your potential before you even have a chance to fight for it. Every single one of us has felt it. The moment before a big opportunity, the second before you take the leap. That voice that tells you, oh, what if you fall? What if you embarrass yourself? What if you fail? But the truth is, what if you fly? What if you succeed beyond what you ever imagined? What if the life you've always dreamed of is on the other side of that fear? The problem is that most people never find out because they let fear stop them before they start. You've got to stop letting what scares you keep you from what's meant for you. You've got to learn to move through the fear, not around it. Fear is a liar. It's not real. It's your imagination creating these obstacles that haven't even happened yet. Think about that. You're losing sleep over things that only exist and you're delaying your goals because of stories your fear is telling you. And while you sit there, worrying, doubting, and hesitating, time keeps moving. The world doesn't wait for you to get brave. The opportunities you're afraid to take will pass you by. And someone who was just as scared but chose to act, will take them instead. So don't tell me you can't. Don't tell me you're not ready. Tell me you're willing to fight through fear, because that's what it takes. Courage isn't the absence of fear. Courage is when your knees are shaking, your hands are sweating, and your heart is racing, but you step forward anyway. That's what separates winners from quitters. Everyone feels fear, but only a few decide that fear won't control their story. You think the greats never felt afraid? You think people like Eric Thomas, Michael Jordan, Oprah, or Elon Musk didn't have moments of doubt? They did, but they moved through it. They understood that fear was just part of the process. Growth doesn't happen in comfort. It happens in courage. You want to be successful. You want to be great. You've got to understand that fear and faith can't live in the same house. You can't say you believe in your dream and still let fear make your decision. You can't pray for success and then let anxiety stop you from acting. You either feed your fear or you feed your future, and whatever you feed will grow. If you keep feeding fear with your attention, your excuses, and your hesitation, it will dominate your life. But if you feed your future with action, confidence, and faith, that future will rise up and become real. There's a version of you waiting, the bold, unstoppable version. But that version doesn't appear until you push past your limits, until you decide that you'd rather live with failure than regret. Because regret is heavier than fear will ever be. Regret is the pain of knowing you could have done more, tried harder, gone further, but you didn't because you let fear win. Don't you dare let that be your story. Don't you dare stand at the end of your life and realize that the only thing standing between you and your destiny was fear. There's a dream inside you that's been calling your name, but you've been ignoring it because you're afraid of what people might say. You're afraid of being judged. You're afraid of not being good enough. But let me tell you something. People are going to talk whether you succeed or fail. They're going to criticize whether you win or lose. So you might as well give them something to talk about. Don't let fear of opinion stop you from living your purpose. Your purpose is bigger than their perception. Your calling is louder than their criticism. Fear loses its power the moment you stop giving it attention. Every day you wake up, you have two choices. You can live in fear or you can live in faith. One will shrink your life, the other will expand it. One will paralyze you, the other will propel you. The choice is yours. You can't control what fear whispers, but you can control whether you listen. You can feel fear, acknowledge it, but still decide to move. You can tell yourself, yeah, I'm scared, but I'm doing it anyway. Because that's where the magic happens. That's where transformation begins. Fear doesn't disappear the moment you get strong. You just get stronger than your fear. You build confidence by doing the thing you thought you couldn't do. You grow by showing up even when it's uncomfortable. Courage isn't something that just appears one morning when you wake up. It's something you build, something you earn, something you fight for every single day. People think that courage means you don't feel fear, that brave people just walk through life untouched by doubt or anxiety. But that's not true. Courage is not the absence of fear. It's what you do despite it. It's standing there with your heart racing, your palms sweating, your mind screaming to stop, and still saying, I'm doing it anyway. Anyway. That's courage. That's the power that separates people who live their dreams from those who only imagine them. Everyone feels fear, but not everyone fights it. And if you want to live a life that matters, you've got to learn how to move even when fear tells you to freeze. Every person who's ever achieved greatness started exactly where you are, unsure, uncertain, afraid. They didn't have all the answers. They didn't know if it would work, but they took a step anyway. They trusted that even if they failed, they'd learn something. That even if they stumbled, they'd stand back up stronger. You see, fear thrives in hesitation, but courage grows in motion. The moment you move, the moment you take that first step, fear starts to lose its grip. You can't think your way out of fear. You have to act your way through it. Because the truth is, you'll never feel ready. There's no perfect moment where fear disappears and everything feels safe. You just got to decide that your dreams are worth more than your doubts. When you face fear head on, something powerful happens inside you. You start to see that fear isn't a wall, it's a mirror. It reflects your deepest insecurities, your biggest what ifs. It tests how badly you really want it. Most people run from that mirror. They hide from what it shows. But those who succeed, they look right into it, they acknowledge it. They breathe through it, and then they break it. They refuse to let fear dictate how far they can go. That's what courage looks like. It's not loud or flashy. It's not loud or flashy. Sometimes it's just a quiet whisper inside that said, try one more time. Sometimes it's the strength to get back up after life knocks you down. It's not about never being scared. It's about not letting scared stop you. People often say, I'll do it when I feel confident. I'll feel confident. But confidence doesn't come before action. It comes after. You gain confidence by doing the thing that scares you, by proving to yourself that you can survive it. Every time you take a risk, every time you push past your cooks, past your goal, another layer of courage, and those layers add up. Before you know it, you'll look back and realize that what once terrified you now feels normal. That's growth. That's transformation. That's what happens when you choose courage over fear. Fear will always try to protect you, but it doesn't understand the difference between safety and stagnation. It's wired to keep you comfortable, not successful. It tells you to stay where you are, to avoid pain, to play it safe. But comfort doesn't build character. Comfort doesn't create legacy. You can't grow in a place designed to keep you small. So when fear starts talking, you have to recognize what it's really doing, trying to keep you from discovering your true power. You got to talk back to it. You got to say, I hear you, but you don't control me. Because the moment you take ownership, fear loses its authority over your life. Every dream you've ever had lives on the other side of fear. Think about that. The business you want to start, the career you want to chase, the person you want to become, it's all there, waiting. But you can't get there without walking through fear. You can't skip that part. Every great success story includes moments of doubt, pain, and fear. But the difference between those who make it and those who die, the successful ones felt no fear, is that they acted anyway. They refused to let fear have the final word. They decided that fear could whisper, but not dictate. They let fear ride along for the journey, but they never gave it the map. Think about when you learned to ride a bike. You were scared to fall, right? But you got on anyway. You probably fell a few times, scraped your knees, maybe even cried. But you got back up. Why? Because the freedom of riding was worth the fear of falling. Life is no different. Every new level will require you to face new fear, to stretch, to grow. But just like that bike, once you learn to balance through fear, you realize it was never as powerful as you thought. The fear was just your body's way of preparing you for greatness. Sometimes fear doesn't show up as panic. It shows up as procrastination. It disguises itself as logic, as excuses. You'll hear yourself saying, I'll start next week, or start next week, or I need more time, or now the right tools yet. But deep down, you know it's fear talking. Fear and faith cannot live in the same house because every decision you make is built on one or the other. Every move you take is powered either by belief or by doubt. You can't say you want success. You can't pray for greatness. You can't visualize a better future and then let fear make every decision for you. That's like planting seeds and then refusing to water them. That's like dreaming of light while closing every window and door. Fear and faith are two different languages, and your life can only speak one at a time. You've got to decide which one you want guiding your steps. Fear always shows you what you can lose, but faith always shows you what you can gain. Fear is focused on the danger, but faith is focused on the possibility. Fear says, what if everything goes wrong? Faith says, what if everything goes right? Fear keeps you looking backward, stuck in your past mistakes, your past failure, your past disappointments. Faith pushes you forward, reminding you that you're not defined by where you've been, but by where you're willing to go. You gotta stop letting fear be the loudest voice in the room. You gotta turn up your faith so loud that fear becomes nothing but background noise. The truth is, the life you want requires faith. The person you want to become requires faith. The dreams you're chasing require faith. You can't build a future based on fear because fear will always convince you to settle. It'll always convince you to pick the safe path, the comfortable path, the predictable path. But comfort never created champions. Comfort never built legacies. Comfort never lifted anybody to greatness. Everything extraordinary requires stepping into the unknown. And faith is the only thing that gives you the strength to take that step. Most people don't fail because they're incapable. They fail because they choose fear over faith at the crucial moment. They let doubt overtake desire. They choose safety instead of sacrifice. They let their mind talk them out what their heart knows they're capable of. And the saddest part, many of them never realized how close they were. Fear blinded them to the opportunity sitting right in front of them. Fear made them believe the mountain was bigger than their ability to climb. But faith would have given them the courage to take one more step. Faith would have helped them see that the mountain wasn't a barrier, but a path to strength. You don't overcome fear by avoiding. You overcome fear by feeding your faith. Whatever you feed grows. If you feed fear with your attention, your excuses, your negative thoughts, it becomes stronger, it becomes louder, it becomes a default setting in your life. But if you feed faith, if you feed it with action, with trust, with movement, with gratitude, it grows too. And the more your faith grows, the smaller your fear becomes. You can't starve fear. You gotta outgrow it. You gotta make your belief bigger than your doubt. That's how you break through. Think about every major breakthrough in history, every great achievement, every innovation, every revolution, none of it was built on fear. It was built on faith. Now, faith in a vision. Faith in a possibility that didn't exist yet. Faith in the belief that something better was possible. People who change the world don't do it because they're never scared. They do it because they refuse to let fear have the final say. They choose to listen to the voice that says, or maybe you can, instead of the one screaming that don't try. And because they choose faith, the world shifts. Faith doesn't mean you know how it's going to work. It doesn't mean the path is clear or the journey is smooth. Faith means you're willing to take the first step even when the rest of the staircase is invisible. It means trusting that if you keep moving, the path will reveal itself. It means believing that the challenges you face aren't signs to quit. They're signs to grow. Fear makes you run from the unknown, but faith teaches you to walk through it. Fear tries to control you, but faith sets you free. When you choose fear, you shrink your life to match your comfort zone. When you choose faith, you expand your life to match your potential. And let me tell you something, your potential is massive. It's bigger than your fear. It's bigger than your doubt. It's bigger than any obstacle standing in your way. But you'll never experience it if you keep letting fear call the shots. The world you want is waiting, but it's on the other side of belief. You can't cross that line by standing still. You've got to move. Sometimes faith is quiet. Sometimes it's a small whisper saying, try again. Sometimes it's the strength to take one more step when everything inside you is telling you to sit down. Sometimes it's the courage to speak up when your voice shakes. Sometimes it's believing in yourself when nobody else does. Your future isn't built on your comfort. It's built on your courage. Every dream you have, every goal you hold deep inside your heart, every vision you keep seeing in your mind, it all requires bravery. Not the kind of bravery that shows up when everything is perfect, but the kind you have to summon when your whole world feels uncertain. The kind of bravery that makes you take the step, even when your legs are shaking. The kind that makes you speak up, even when your voice trembles. The kind that tells you, I'm scared, but I'm going forward anyway. Your future is waiting on that version of you, not the hesitant version, not the doubtful version, but the brave version. Bravery isn't loud. It doesn't always roar. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it's the courage to get out of bed when yesterday broke you. Sometimes it's the strength to try again after failing more times than you want to admit. Sometimes it's the decision to keep moving even when no one believes in you, even when no one supports you, even when you feel completely alone. That's bravery, the ability to keep going in the dark, trusting that the light will meet you on the other side. Your future depends on your bravery because growth is uncomfortable. Evolution is uncomfortable. Becoming the person you're meant to become requires you to let go of what's familiar even when it feels safe. You can't take old habits into a new life. You can't hold on to fear and expect success. Every new level will demand a stronger, bolder version of you, and that version can only emerge through courageous decision. It's bravery that pushes you to learn new skills, to take risks, to step into rooms you once felt unqualified for. It's bravery that gives you the power to walk away from things that are holding you back, whether it's people, environments, or even your own limiting beliefs. Too many people are living small because they're scared to live big. They'll tell you they want more, but fear keeps them glued to the same place. They're afraid of failing, afraid of being judged, afraid of being wrong, afraid of being seen trying. But the truth is, life is going to pass you by whether you're brave or not. Time doesn't slow down for the fearful. Opportunities don't pause for you to gather courage. The world keeps moving, and if you want your place in that world, if you want the future you imagine, you gotta be brave enough to chase it. Bravery means trusting yourself, trusting your instincts, trusting your abilities, trusting that you are capable. Even when your mind tries to convince you otherwise, even when fear tries to exaggerate every possible failure, you have to trust that the preparation you've done, the resilience you've built, the lessons you've learned, all of it is enough to carry you forward. You won't always know what comes next. You won't always know the outcome. But bravery isn't about knowing. It's about believing you can handle whatever comes. Your future needs your bravery because your goals aren't small. Deep down, you know you weren't born to live a mediocre life. You feel that pull towards something greater, something meaningful, something impactful. But that greatness won't arrive on its own. You gotta fight for it. You've gotta be bold enough to step into the unknown. All the people you admire, the ones who inspire you, they didn't get where they are by playing it safe. They took chances, they bet on themselves. They risked failure because the possibility of success was worth it. And your future deserves that same level of commitment. Bravery also means being honest with yourself. It means admitting when you're scared, when you're overwhelmed, when you're struggling. Running from your emotions doesn't make you strong. Facing them does. When you acknowledge your fear, you take away its power. When you face the things that terrify you, you grow into the person your future requires you to be. Ignoring your fears doesn't help you grow, but confronting them transforms you. Your future needs your bravery because every breakthrough in your life will require a breakdown of your limitations. You'll have to challenge everything that made you comfortable. You'll have to question everything that made you feel small. You'll have to step away from old versions of yourself. That takes courage. That takes strength. But the reward is becoming the version of yourself that can carry the weight of your dreams. There will be moments where you're tempted to turn back. Moments where fear will make the past look safer than the future. Moments where staying where you are will feel easier than stepping forward. But don't fall for that illusion. Comfort is a cage disguised as a cushion. Fear will try to convince you that playing small is the smart thing to do, but your future knows better. Your future is calling for the version of you that takes risks, that believes, that pushes, that dares. Fear will always try to insert itself into your life, but it only wins when you hand it the pen and let it write your story. And every day you wake up, you're in a battle between the life you want and the fear that wants to stop you. It's a battle between your purpose and your panic, between your dreams and your doubts. And the truth is, the winner of that battle is determined not by strength, not by talent, not by luck, but by decision. You decide whether fear guides your choices or whether you take control. You decide whether you let fear dim your light or whether you keep shining even when it feels uncomfortable. You decide whether fear whispers in your ear or whether your purpose shouts louder. Fear doesn't have to disappear for you to move forward. People think they need to eliminate fear, conquer it, silence it forever. But that's not how life works. Fear is part of the journey. It shows up whenever you step into something new, whenever you begin to grow, whenever you move towards something meaningful. Fear is simply a signal that you're stretching, expanding, evolving. It's a sign that you're stepping outside your comfort zone, and that's exactly where your future lives. If you're not feeling fear, you're not growing. If you're not a little uncomfortable, you're not stepping into your destiny, true destiny. So don't wait for fear to vanish. Learn to walk with it. Learn to move despite it. You take your power back the moment you stop letting fear make you pause. You know that moment when you have a great idea, when an opportunity comes your way, when your heart pulls you towards something bigger, and fear steps in, whispering doubts. Oh, what if it goes wrong? Oh, what if it goes wrong? What if people judge you? That moment's everything. That split-second decision between acting or hesitating determines your entire life trajectory. Most people hesitate. Most people let fear win in the first 5 seconds. They freeze, overthink, back away, shrink. But the people who create powerful futures, they act before fear talks them out of it. They move, they leap, they trust. They understand that hesitation feeds fear, but action starves it. Fear loses its power when you stop believing every story it tells. Fear exaggerates, it lies, it magnifies dangers that aren't real. It makes you imagine worst-case scenarios that almost never happen. But here's the truth, fear can't hurt you. Taking a risk won't kill you. Trying something new won't destroy you. Putting yourself out there won't break you. Fear is a storyteller, not a predictor. And once you understand that you're the one who decides which stories you believe, you stop letting fear dictate your direction. You start recognizing fear for what it is, noise. Nothing more. You've got to remind yourself that you're stronger than the fear inside you. You've survived things you once thought you couldn't. You've overcome challenges you never imagined you face. You've healed from hurt, rebuilt after loss, grown after pain. So why would fear convince you that you can't handle the next step? You've already proven your resilience. You've already proven your strength. You've already proven that you can face hard things and still rise. Fear wants you to forget that. But you need to remember. You need to remind yourself daily of what you've already survived. You're not starting from weakness. You're starting from strength. Fear becomes powerless the moment you start focusing on your why. When you have a purpose that's big enough, fear becomes too small to stop you. When you think about the people you want to impact, the life you want to build, the dreams you want to manifest, the legacy you want to leave, fear loses its grip. Purpose gives you courage. Purpose gives you clarity. Purpose gives you momentum. When you start moving with intention, fear can yell all it wants, but it won't pull you off track because you know what you're fighting for. You know what's at stake. You know what kind of life you're trying to build, and you know that fear is not part of that blueprint. You got to practice choosing courage every single day. Not once, not occasionally, every day. Courage is a muscle, and the more you use it, the stronger it gets. Every time you say yes when fear says no, every time you try when fear tells you not to, every time you move when fear wants you frozen, you build that muscle. You become braver, bolder, stronger. Eventually, what used to terrify you becomes normal. What used to overwhelm you becomes manageable. What used to stop you becomes something you step over. That's how growth works. You outgrow your fears by facing them. Fear will always speak, but it doesn't get the final word. It doesn't get to decide your destiny. It doesn't get to shape your future. You hold the pen, you write the story, and the story isn't about fear controlling your life. It's about you taking control, you stepping forward, you choosing courage, you building something extraordinary.